Hey, my name's Trevor. I live in the Seattle area. It's currently March 22nd, 2026, and I'm having an L5S1 microdiscectomy tomorrow. I've seen a lot of other recovery videos on YouTube, so I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring and share my experience. This all started back in May of 2023. I hurt my back lifting boxes. It was really bad. I could hardly walk for a couple of weeks, and I probably should have gone to see a doctor, but I was foolish. And anyway, it got better. But I think that is probably where I herniated my disc. But it wasn't for over a year later in June of 2024 when I felt my first sciatica on a run. I saw an orthopedic doctor a month later, and he ordered some physical therapy, which was required by my insurance before getting an MRI. Um, so the next couple months later, in September of 2024, I got an MRI, and sure enough, it showed a disc herniation. My peak symptoms were right around that period, maybe like a month later. I remember being on a cruise ship, and I felt like I could hardly walk very far without like needing to kind of stop, take a break because my leg hurt. There was never any numbness, tingling, foot drop, weakness, anything like that. It was always just a pain radiating up and down various parts of my leg, all the way from my butt to my foot. Um, the doctor recommended that I see a surgeon, and I was pretty scared about the idea of getting surgery on my back. But in January of 2025, I saw a surgeon. He looked at the MRI. He kind of looked at how far I could bend forward before I told him I couldn't bend forward anymore without too much pain. And he recommended surgery. And my mom, who's a physician, posted in a Facebook group where that's only physicians, and there were probably like 50 responses. They looked at my MRI, and the vast majority of people who were surgeons said that surgery would be very effective for my case. There were one or two maybe dissenters, and a lot of the people who were other types of doctors recommended maybe trying some more conservative approaches first. Another epidural. I'd had one; it didn't really do anything for me. Maybe some more physical therapy. But anyway, I wanted a second opinion from another doctor who I saw in person, and this I ended up going to someone who was highly recommended by one person in that Facebook group, um, and he also said I could benefit from surgery. He emphasized that it was like a relatively simple surgery, and that there wouldn't be too much pain during the recovery process. But he also said, because I told him that my symptoms were kind of improving around that time, that we should postpone, and it would be irresponsible to operate on me if my symptoms were improving. A month later, I actually had a surgery for a different issue, which is a hernia. And I would say, like, throughout this period, partially probably because I wasn't doing that much movement after that surgery, my sciatica just continued to get better up until like October of that year, 2025, when I had a big flare up, first in my back for a couple of days, and after that, a lot of sciatica from playing soccer. Um, I continued to be in a bit more sciatic pain. I had a primary care doctor visit in January of 2026, which is this year. And I told him I was taking Tylenol for the pain, and he recommended maybe you should revisit the surgery thing. He said that he had it himself. It was a relatively straightforward thing for him. His pain is completely gone now. Um, and so I went and saw the surgeon again, and he ordered another MRI. Sure enough, there hadn't been that much change. Maybe it improved just a little bit, but not really. And he, once again, basically said I could benefit a lot from the surgery, and that it was relatively straightforward. So here we are. It's March, and I've scheduled the surgery, and it's tomorrow. I think one thing that's been kind of difficult about my case is I see a lot of people on YouTube or Reddit who say they're in like 10 out of 10 pain before surgery. And I feel like maybe I'm an outlier among people who are sharing their experience online, in that I'm just like not in a 10 out of 10 pain at all. My pain is episodic. And I'd say the worst pain level that I experience is maybe a 4 out of 10. Right now, as I'm standing here, I'm experiencing like a 1 or a 2 out of 10. Um, and yeah, there can be days where literally for 2 or 3 days, I don't feel it. Like it's a zero. And then, I'll get a flare up for a couple hours that's a 4, and then it'll be like a 1 or a 2 for the next, couple days or whatever. I did take a log for a couple weeks, starting about a month ago and ending a couple weeks ago. And I noted down that I was in pain, about some level of pain, about half to 2/3 of the time. And within that, about half of the time, I was in enough pain to the point where I was like, I definitely would want to get rid of this with surgery. But it's kind of an emotional roller coaster, because in the time when I am not in pain or in very minimal pain, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I getting surgery for? So that's kind of been my experience. Um, yeah, I can run on the treadmill. I've noticed that like playing soccer does tend to flare it up, because maybe I'm twisting more and it's more like bursty movements. Um, and let's see, when one thing though is, if I bend over, this is about how far, with my leg straight, this is about how far I can bend over until I experience pain. Let's see, right around there. So right there, I start to experience pain in my left leg. Um, and let's see, I can also try and do like a leg raise here and show you kind of at what point I experience pain. So let's start with the good leg. So if I can do, let's see, I can do this. It's fine. I mean, it feels like a stretch, but it's not sciatic pain. Here with this leg, right around there is where I start to experience some sciatic pain, right around there. Um, I mean, I guess I was experiencing it before, but it's increased when I go to that level. Um, so yeah, it's kind of made my case a little difficult, because I feel like I could continue to live with this. Um, I don't love it. There's definitely periods where I feel like I definitely don't want to live with it, but that's not even necessarily the majority of the time, which has made this decision to get surgery quite difficult. Um, I When I talked with my surgeon, I actually scheduled like a very last minute, like a few days before the surgery, video call with him just to kind of do a final check in. And he said the chances that he makes me worse from the surgery are incredibly low. And we went over some of the risks, and I just, every time I talk to him, I get like a lot of confidence in the decision to do this. So I actually surprisingly not nervous. I was experiencing a lot of nervousness when I was deciding whether or not to do this. But right now, I'm sure in pre-op I'll be pretty nervous, but right now I'm, a little anxious to know that I'm going to be in recovery for a while, but I'm not terribly nervous. Um, as for why I'm doing this right now, my symptoms are probably not that bad relative to how they've been historically, but I have I mean, we're expecting a baby in July, and I know that having a baby, there will probably be a lot more bending and lifting than I've been doing up to this point. So, for one thing, I'm worried that that might flare it up more than it has been. I don't want to have to recover when there's an infant around and I can't lift them. And if I do it now, that gives me 4 months to recover. Um, and then I should be able to pick them up and from day one. Um, so I'm doing this. I'm planning to take a week or two off work. I've got a little toilet riser right there. I've got a lot of prep going on, stool softeners and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, so I'm going in tomorrow. I'll do my best to keep this updated, and yeah, hoping all goes well.